Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I've got a selection of CDs to show you. These were all purchased in charity shops for £1 or less. And first up, it's Who Came First by Pete Townshend. This was his first solo album back in 1972, and it includes a couple of excellent tracks which were also recorded by The Who, Pure and Easy and Let's See Action. But elsewhere I'm afraid it's very slim pickings. There's a lot of pseudo-religious drivel, which is particularly underwhelming and also slightly sinister at the same time. But at least he had the good sense not to try and get The Who to record some of this rubbish. I'm thinking here of songs like Parvadigar. Right, for Pete Townshend at his absolute best, this is The Who's Sell Out. I got this for 50p, their 1967 album, the beautifully constructed set of mod pop songs, complete with inspired use of jingles as if it's on a pirate radio station. It comes with a really informative booklet, loads of bonus tracks, including one track which until I looked at the liner notes today I didn't realise wasn't the Pete Townshend song, Early Morning Cold Taxi, which has always been a favourite of mine. Turns out it was actually co-written by Roger Daltrey. This was a nice double set for £1. The Colpix singles by Nina Simone. She was on the Colpix label from 1959 to 1963, and she was still sort of developing her style at this point, so it's a rather strange mix of traditional songs, show tunes, jazz standards, a handful of Nina Simone original songs as well. But by the end of her 4-year period on Colpix, she'd really developed into her unique style of performance, and it's a fascinating double CD. Right, next up we've got this 1978, I think it came out, Love Island by Diodato. This is pretty insipid, easy listening funk, and it does sound very dated now. Having said all of that, I am impressed by a lot of Diodato's earlier work, where he worked as an arranger for many Brazilian artists, and I've always loved his jazz funk version of Also Sprach Zarathustra. So on that basis I'll probably give this another listen and see if it sounds any better. Next up, this is a double CD for £1, Pete Brown and Piblokto, and this is brings together their 2 albums plus loads of bonus tracks, and there's a nice booklet where Pete Brown puts their career into context. I think what lets the album down is Pete Brown's vocals, which are like Roger Waters at his weakest, but there is some excellent musicianship on the album. Brilliant guitar work from Jim Mullen, and absolutely incredible keyboard playing from Dave Thompson, and that sort of lifts this album above the mediocre. So next we've got Angel's Egg by Gong. This is the second album in what became known as their Radio Gnome Invisible trilogy, and it's quite a good progressive rock album, and I think it's a good listenable compromise between the more eccentric humour of David Allen and the musical skills that Steve Hillage brought to the band, and also the drummer percussionist Pierre Merlin. And now this is a brilliant album. I'm really pleased to get this, and it's came out in 1994 on the Capitol label, and it's interpretations of the songs by Richard Thompson. He was signed to Capitol at that time, and they were really trying to push him in America to break through there. It's, as I say, it's geared towards the American market. So you've got some American artists really at the top of their game. So you've got R.E.M., who were at the peak of their career at that time, and they do a version of Wall of Death where they make the song their own. You've also got a reformed X doing Shoot Out the Lights. There's a fabulous version of When the Spell is Broken by Bonnie Raitt. And there's also at least some space left for some English folk interpretation of his songs by Maddie Pryor, Martin Carthy, June Tabor. It's an absolutely superb collection, which makes you admire the songwriting skills of Richard Thompson even more. This is a strange one which I knew nothing about when I bought it. It's billed as Patato and Totico, and that's Carlos Patato Valdez on conga and percussion, and Eugenio Totico Arango on vocals. And it's an album of Cuban street music, and it feels quite authentic. It's not been watered down for an American audience, but it does become rather samey, so it's a bit of a struggle to work through this in one sitting. But you do get nice packaging from Verve with a nice booklet, so I'm quite glad to have that one. Right, it's been a joy in the 21st century to see Elton John finally focus on his songwriting skills again, and I think this is one of his better albums in the 21st century. In the liner notes, he says that Leon Russell was my biggest influence in the late 60s and early 70s from a piano playing point of view and from a vocal point of view. So it's good to see them working together, and it's produced by T-Bone Burnett. So you've got a mixture of great songs from all concerned and a who's who of musicians dropping by to help out as well. So I think this is a very special album, and Elton John's liner notes are worth reading. They're very heartfelt and moving, and he also remains a music fan, which makes me like him even more. Next, it's Lonnie Liston Smith live, and this is a 1970s live album which captures Lonnie Liston Smith at his creative peak. Unlike most live albums from that period, there isn't any padding. It's all really focused performances, and it's just classic jazz funk from master musicians. Now this was a nice pickup. It's brand new, sealed for £1. Woody Guthrie. It's volume 1 of 4 volumes called the Ash Recordings, named after Folkways founder Moses Ash, who taped hundreds of performances by Woody Guthrie back in the 1930s and 1940s. And so these 4 CDs are a pick of the best of those. As I said, I've not opened the seal on this one yet, so I can't comment on the booklet, but I think it's a 32-page booklet, and a lot of time and effort has gone into producing this for CD, so I'm looking forward to playing this. Next up, a Bo Diddley live album called Vamp, which comes in an eye-catching hardcover digipack. These are live recordings from 1984, recorded across Europe with a backing band that includes Eric Bell on guitar, who was in Thin Lizzy at one time, and Dick Heckstall-Smith, who was in Colosseum on tenor and alto sax. The cursory liner notes are very poorly written and give you a very succinct overview of his career. It's like reading a really bad entry on Wikipedia, and there's no mention of how the tour came about and where they played. So overall the packaging isn't that good, but the sound quality's great, although it must be said that you'd struggle to realise it's Bo Diddley performing, as it just sounds like a sort of competent blues covers band. So yeah, not one of his better releases. And Next up we've got the Postal Service and their one and only album, Give Up. This was a group that was formed by Ben Gibbard from Def Cab for Cutie, which you probably already know, and Jenny Lewis is also on the album providing backing vocals. The mix of Gibbard's vocals and producer Jimmy Tamborello's electronic production, I think, works really well. So the melancholy or melancholia in Gibbard's vocals are actually enhanced by that stark, soulless production of Tamborello. It's a rather beautiful record, in fact, and sadly that they've never repeated the formula of this album. And next up we've got more Ben Gibbard. This was his first solo album, Former Lives. I think it could be argued that this is how he should record all of his songs. It's got the vocals up front, it's got sympathetic semi-acoustic accompaniment, some lovely melodic songs, and it's a totally engaging album. Highly recommended. And this was a really pleasant surprise. Fleetwood Mac, Before the Beginning, 1968-1970 live and demo sessions. So it's 3 CDs and it's been put out by Sony, and it's covering the Peter Green era, obviously, nearly all live recordings but a few demos as well, and it comes with a really nice booklet. I'll just show you a couple of sample pages. And there we go. Yeah, it's an excellent 3D set, and the sound quality is fantastic, unlike what you'd find on a lot of the semi-legal dodgy labels that have released stuff from the Peter Green era. And if you can find it, it's well worth having, and as I say, the booklet is fantastic, so I was really pleased to find that one. And that's it for now, but I've been venturing out to charity shops quite a bit in the last couple of weeks and found quite a few CDs, a lot of R&B, rock and roll, blues, so I'll be showing another selection quite soon. So until then, take care.